Hey, welcome to the award-winning 99% Radio Network here in the Fishbowl, broadcasting you live at Fishbowl Studios here in Bedford, Texas. We are powered by the OBBM Network and brought to you by the Biker Wolf Pack. Glenn Lawson Law. If you are in an accident and you are injured, visit Glenn Lawson and the Biker Wolf Pack at 737 The Wolf. 737 The Wolf. They are experienced attorneys with experience in motorcycle accidents, and they will get you fixed up in a jiffy, man. So if you ride, make sure you have the Wolf Pack on your side. Welcome, Pitbull. Look at that. I just rolled right out.
Slogans and shit.
Little slogans. I've been thinking about that all day.
He was. He's not joking.
So what's going on?
Oh, just surviving.
Surviving.
Yeah.
You know, I would. Is that lipstick on?
It was. I had to shut up. I had to blot my lipstick before the show.
I'm like, oh my god, man!
It's like a coffee stain.
Oh, we had a great week, and we got the next couple of weekends. We are just seriously booked up. This weekend, the 99% Radio Network is going to travel down to Houston to Prison Break Tattoos, and we are going to meet with Anne Marie Carizales. I know Carizales.
Carizales.
Yes.
Oh, now you got me doing.
I
I'm
know.
sorry.
She's a hero.
There's a lot of Z's in there.
A lot of Z's. She's a hero police officer who was shot in the face and the chest, and her determination to catch these criminals. She chased them down for 20 miles with a bullet in her face.
Yeah,
and captured all three of them. We're also going to meet with DJ Daniels, who is the young man, 13 years old, who has been diagnosed with terminal brain cancer. He has gone through multiple surgeries, and he has been inducted into over 800 police departments, including the Secret Service by President Trump.
Doesn't he have a goal of, because he was in Florida last week, I believe, because I saw it on our local Fox 4. They had it on in Florida. He was doing their police force or whatever down there, saying he's trying to get like 900 or something.
I think he's almost there. I think he's almost there, probably.
Yeah. I was telling, because my stepdad or my father-in-law lives with me now. I'm like, hey, that guy, I'm gonna go see him.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know what his exact goal is, but now a lot of police departments are really embracing this child. He's got a great
funny
man.
Do you see him? He is a funny kid.
He is.
He's
he's direct. And he's so direct,
stealing the show and everything. I'm like, oh.
But and at 13 years old, and I give all the credit to his dad, Theodis Daniels. He's a Navy vet, firefighter in the Navy, but he brought this child up to really strive and to really live your full life. When there are not many fathers out there that are really good role models, but Theodis is an amazing role model, and you could see it in his son. You could see the way his son talks to people and the confidence his son has,
Yes.
At 13, not knowing, and he's, that kid's living each day to the fullest.
More than I ever did at 13.
Right. And that's how we all should live. Because tomorrow is not promised.
What I was doing at 13.
But they didn't have the internet back there. Thank God.
We were figuring things out what to do. That's bad. Yeah.
But
back on track.
We're back on track. So we'll be down in Houston on the 6th. Are you coming with us on the 6th? Or are you going to that other?
Because it's a day-long thing, and as you know, I also am a caregiver. So I am going to take Senior to Al Chatwin's 99th birthday. He was a World War II veteran, and we're going to go to his birthday.
That's amazing.
They had to reschedule his birthday because literally like that Monday, his party was like that Friday. That Monday, he broke his hip. So they rescheduled. It's I can repost it, all the information.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Be good to get out there and celebrate with Al because, 99. And,
99 problems.
But all World War II vets, there are not many of them left, especially here in the Fort Worth area. You want to get out and you want to learn their history. You want to learn. Hear the stories, man.
Speaking they're funny.
They are.
And they will talk.
Oh, my God.
And,
Don Graves.
Yes. Oh. Get them two in a bar.
Oh, that's mayhem. But you know what? Them too, man. You know what? We have to look at our younger children and our elderly.
Our younger children instead of our older children?
Yeah, because our older children suck. We want to look at our younger kids like DJ, and we want to look at our World War II vets like Al and Don Graves,
Yes.
because they really know how to embrace life each
Mhm.
and every day.
Yes.
They really do, man.
do.
You know,
Those guys get around.
they do. And and Don Graves' birthday is coming up on May 3rd, and he's going to be 100.
Yep.
God bless him. And, you know, I want to be that vibrant when I get to be 100.
Yes.
I don't have their energy now at 58.
No, and I haven't done half the shit they have. Not even like a smidgen of the shit they've had in their life. Like they've gone through a lot, and they are out there just living life to the best.
Well,
I mean, I see Don at 54th Street every once in a while over in Alliance,
and he's probably hitting on girls.
Oh, he starts singing, and they all come over there to the table. Yeah. Oh yeah,
he's got Viagra in his pocket. He does. He does.
Niagara.
But you know what?
You know how I met them? How? Is through roll call.
Through roll call, which we're going to have Roy Davis coming on about 4:00 this afternoon. We're going to have him because he's the president of roll call, which started out with 11 guys just going out to lunch, turned into a network of over 1,600 veterans across the state of Texas getting served lunch once a month. And it's amazing. You're going to hear that story. But I am going to live to 100 because I started working out with Flex yesterday.
Yes, you did.
I started the 6-week challenge. I couldn't eat my oatmeal this morning, but I did. It was an amazing workout. I invite all of you to come and join me and Flex for this 6-week challenge. Get mentally and physically healthy.
I just am delayed. I'm just a little delayed.
I thought you said you were getting laid.
Oh, well, maybe after the challenge. Maybe. So April 19th, we got Brotherhood for the Fallen Car Show over here in Fort Worth. Go to their website, Brotherhood for the Fallen Fort Worth. You can check out all the details there. We will be spinning some tunes, having a twist contest, playing some oldies. It's basically Keller.
Yeah, Keller. It's
Keller.
It's at the church, right?
Yes.
On Heritage.
And you know, if you live near Keller, they have all the pumpkins. It's a beautiful church. You know where it's at. We have the address on there, but has a huge setup. I mean, we went there last year. I mean, what was it, like 150 cars? It looked like that were
and it's probably going to be double that this year because they've expanded. Me and Pitbull are going to have a booth there. We're going to be going live and spinning all your favorite cartoons. So it's going to be a lot of fun. Then on April 23rd, your favorite event.
My favorite, the ultimate beer flight, Hops and Props. I mean, if you don't know, you should look it up. I've talked about it all year long. It's going to be our 3rd year as the Battling Betties being there. Basically, it is a beer festival amongst all warbirds and vintage flying museum. I mean, I think they have 18 breweries. I think that are going to be there. All the craft breweries in DFW. You buy one ticket, you get to sample all the beers, as many as you want, as many times as you want. I mean, food trucks, live music. We will be there. The Battling Betties will be there.
They got reenactors there. Guys doing reenact from World War I.
The kids can actually climb in some of the planes that are on display in the yard. I mean, it's a big family.
They had bounce houses for the kids. They have a whole kids area over there.
The beer flight.
The beer flight.
I mean, if you want a beer flight, if you like craft beers, if you know what a beer flight is, you get 5 to 6 little sample beers.
Yeah.
You get to do that in an old vintage Warbird, which is the same one that they did, I think, at the Pancake Museum.
Yep.
I want to say it's the same plane, the one that they flew around that was parked in the middle.
Yeah, maybe.
So they fly up in the air. You have all the beers to sample in the air. I mean, it's the ultimate beer flight.
See, hey, Mary's Staffeld.
He's not president. She is.
He's not president. That's right. He's not president. He is the military liaison.
Yes.
I am corrected. Military liaison. Thank you, Mary. I had the pleasure of being on Hometown Heroes this past Tuesday. Mary and Rick are 2 of the most wonderful people I've ever met. It was such an honor to be on there. I know you were on there a while back as the Battling Betties. They really honor our veterans and our first responders and really bring Fort Worth in and show the goodness and the community of Fort Worth. So check out Hometown Heroes on YouTube and on Facebook every Tuesday for Mary and Rick. So that's going to be the Hops and Props. Then right after Hops and Props, just down the road, probably about 15 minutes down the road, over at McFly's Pub. McFly's. They are going to be having a 1950 sock hop.
Nice.
Yeah, and that's Angie Easton, who's been working for a long time at Cook's Children's Hospital. She is running that. And that's going to help Cook's Children's Hospital here in Dallas. and everything that they need, because they do need their support. At Cook's Children's, just like what is it? Not Shriners, Scottish Rite. Parents don't have to pay for their children's medical bills. Everything is free for those children. So we want to keep them well funded. So check out McFly's Sock Up, McFly's Pub. Then on May 3rd, we are hosting Off First, right? Off First.
Yes.
First Pinups and Pistons over at
my baby.
Yeah, over at Indian Motorcycle. Yes. We are going to have vintage cars, motorcycles, loudest pipe contest, not to mention the pinups.
Yes, we still are looking for vendors. I have some space for vendors. We are filling up. We have maybe about 6 to 7 more spots for some vendors. For some food trucks, of course, pinups. We need some pinups. We got plenty of space for pinups. My goal is about 30 pinups. We're almost there. So please send in your applications. Email us at live on.
Did I say the 23rd? That's the 26th. 26th. I got 23rd. Thank you, Delia.
See, the Betty's are looking out.
Thank you for our listeners, man. That's on the 26th. I'm sorry, 26th, not the 23rd.
At least he's pretty.
Yeah. You know what? And God bless Delia and James, two longtime listeners of the show. We're on the way to do the 6-week challenge with us when they were rear-ended by uninsured.
Told you going to the gym was
uninsured. Go. Uninsured, unlicensed driver. Man, thank God they're both okay. And we got to be careful on these roads. You never know. And our prayers are still with Delia and James for a speedy recovery. And thank you for tuning in. But you know who's going to be at our May 3rd event besides the celebrity?
There's a lot of people.
Besides the celebrity judges that are going to be there, we got Tattoo Mark. This guy is amazing. And talk about a foundation. Go to the Tattoo Mark Foundation, because he takes these. You donate a new teddy bear.
Basically, it's like a booth. It's like a shop. You go in and you pick the bear. And you buy the bear, and then that bear gets donated. So you don't walk away. You're not purchasing a bear to walk away with. You get to pick out the bear that you want donated. So you're basically purchasing it and then giving it to that child to be delivered to them at the hospital.
Right. And last year they gave away 11,000 bears. 11,000 bears to area children's hospitals throughout Texas, all the way from Dallas all the way to El Paso. 11,000 bears. And I spoke to Mark the other day, and he says, because of our show and because he loves what the 99 represents, he has put us on.
We are
able. He picked 4 hospitals that we can go hand out those teddy bears to. So I can't wait for that. He's going to make that announcement of the hospitals that we're going to be allowed to go to, and me and Pipple are going to go and deliver these wonderful bear smiles and bring smiles to kids.
Tell people who Tattoo Market. A lot of people might not know who Tattoo Market. I mean, if you don't know, I know people in Texas might know. You should know.
Yeah.
But Tattoo Mark goes to the football games.
He is the ultimate Dallas Cowboy fan. He has, and I was watching a news clip the other day on him. It was on NBC, and this was 2 years ago. I don't know if he's got any more tattoos, but he had 26. He had 26 tattoos of different Dallas Cowboys.
Is Mike Easley on there?
No, Mike.
That would be kind of.
No, he's got like the hero guys.
Oh, Mike!
Sorry, Mike.
He's throwing bows. Did you hear that?
Sorry, Mike. But he's got he's got Jimmy Jones. Jimmy Jones on there. But he's got all these great Dallas Cowboys on there. He's got all the stars. His Jeep is totally decked out.
I saw his Jeep on the post.
His Jeep is going to be his Jeep is going to be on one of the lead of one of the parades he was talking about. Nice. So what a sweet guy, and he just wants to give back to the community. So follow my Tattoo Mark on all your streaming networks. And if you want to buy a teddy bear, go to Tattoo Mark Foundation, and you can purchase a bear for donation. I want to say hi to our look who just showed up, Johnny Rizzo. What's up? Johnny Rizzo with Motorcycle Mayhem out of New York. He has been killing it throughout the country. He did an amazing job down in Daytona, and his show is just killing it. His show is on after Oz, New York time, so it would be 7:00 here. You can go to Motorcycle Mayhem, check that show out, because you will not be disappointed. And plus, he's got so many more venues coming up. He's now on Life 367. I don't know, Johnny. Just text that in there if you can. Put it in the comments. It's Life 367 or
I don't know.
But
he doesn't talk to me like he talks to you.
Well, he likes me better.
He does.
So we're going to take a quick break. We're going to hear from the Wolfpack Law, and then we will be back with some Battling Betties.
Yes, from Florida.
All right. So stay tuned. Don't go away.
My mama's on. Oh, we got Pete.
Biker Wolfpack Law is a safety organization founded by myself alongside Robert Howell with the primary focus of motorcycle safety, advocacy for injured bikers, and just general protection for those injured while riding motorcycles in the great state of Texas. Biker Wolfpack Law is a division of Glenn Larson Law Injury Attorneys, which is my firm. What's different about Biker Wolfpack Law is it's a community-based, event-based connection component to make sure that motorcyclists have all of the safety information they need, all of the legal information they need, and frankly, if needed, that full-blown legal advocacy in times of injury through no fault of their own.
One of our big events is we do ASM classes, which are accident scene management classes, which are put on with the Road Guardians, group of riders that are usually EMTs, doctors, nurses that also ride. And so they know what can happen when you're out there by yourself. And so it's a very intense class, like how to do tourniquets, how to get a helmet off of a person without hurting their neck more, how to get somebody out of the middle of the road. We do those a couple times a year, and the more safe riders are out there, the better it is.
The second division and component of Biker Wolfpack Law is to sponsor local musicians at bike nights or other community events that involve motorcyclists, but also just the community as a whole. And then third is larger charity organization events or rides to get out in the fresh air and have some fun. What I love most about representing bikers and motorcyclists across the great state of Texas is really one thing. It's about hearing the story. It's about going to motorcycle events, constantly meeting new people and making new connections. One of the reasons why I started Biker Wolfpack Law was to defeat and counteract many of the biases that are out there that, quote, motorcyclists are just dangerous. Make sure that motorcyclists are seen as exactly who they are, very hardworking, very responsible, and very dedicated individuals that deserve the justice that they need.
Hey, welcome back to the award-winning 99% Radio Network here in the Fishbowl. Man, you just heard from Biker Wolfpack. Oh! Remember, 737, the Wolf, man. 737, get the Wolfpack on your side, man. Right now, I want to bring up the two Battling Betties out in Tampa Bay, Florida. What's up, ladies?
Tampa Bay, sending love.
Tampa Bay.
Hey.
Champa Bay, baby. We are Champa, the champions.
Tampa Bay. Wow. You sound like you girls are already having a party out there.
Yeah, well, every day is a party, I guess, when you live in the Sunshine State.
There you go.
That's right.
I love it.
So welcome to the 99 ladies.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you absolutely so much for having us on. I'm so excited.
Well, we're happy to have you guys on. So you guys are in Tampa.
Yeah.
But you guys are the Florida platoon of the Battling Betties, correct?
That is correct.
And you guys are looking for new members as well, right?
Yeah, we always would be looking for new members. Definitely something that is really important to us, though, when considering any new members. We want to make sure that they're here for the right reasons. And that is number one, our military and our first responders all the way. So I'm very, very fortunate that this platoon in this state is indeed comprised of a bunch of very, very passionate, caring, give you the shirt off their back, generous, authentic military and first responders loving ladies.
I love that.
That is awesome. I mean, Florida probably has a huge military presence. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I
why I'm
can't
here.
speak. Military presence, just like Texas. You know, So, what are some of the things that you guys? I guess you guys all do about the same thing, right?
And
You're
we
going
got a,
out.
We got a fellow Jeeper on there too.
Oh,
she's a Jeeper
You
as
got to get
well.
onto that beach with the Jeep.
Yeah.
But you guys basically do the same things. You guys are going out to all the senior living homes. You're going out to all their events and just bringing smiles to their face, huh?
Yeah, that's definitely one of the things that we do. That's definitely one of the things that I think all of the platoons and Battle and Betties nationwide definitely do take part in. And that I think is when we sit down, we talk about what are our favorite things that we do as Betties. That definitely comes up. I was just having a conversation with another one of our Betties yesterday, and especially our World War II veterans, our Vietnam veterans. We love to visit with them the one-on-one time. We love to celebrate them and appreciate them and let them know that there is, I have a very strong belief in my own personal life that the life that I was raised to enjoy is truly because of World War I and World War II. If things had gone differently, none of us would know the life that we do here now. And I just feel very strongly about that. So to make sure to appreciate those folks who have been there and done that is absolutely our honor and our privilege. So we do that. We actually have a very big event coming up. Probably our biggest event, probably of the year, is this coming Saturday. It's Sun and Fun, the fly-in show in Lakeland, Florida. That's going to be wonderful. We are going to be serving in the military hospitality tent to the military members who will be on campus for Sun and Fun Fly-In. Check it out if you guys haven't. It's very cool. People come from all over the country for this, and they basically fly their planes in and they camp. They park their little planes, Cessnas and little things
That is so cool.
in a plane parking lot. So it's like kind of wild. And there's warbirds there and there's everything. Battle and Betties will be there. Myself and my teammate right here. This is my Betty's bestie. We're definitely going to be out there with the rest of our crew. We're going to have a great time serving those folks and getting to probably overheat in the, in the weather.
Right.
Well, like we just got through with the pancake breakfast, the Battling Betties
Which is the fly-in. Yeah.
over at the Vintage
That's
Flying Museum, and we had people flying in for pancakes,
Yeah.
which was amazing.
Yeah.
I was like, instead of people driving in, they're flying their planes in.
So we need to get a hold of one of those guys and fly us down to their
Yes,
thing.
yes.
Yes.
Bring us some
Somebody's got a
pancakes,
T7
guys.
available,
Yeah,
man. I ain't
just-
flying one of these little Cessna things. Get me, or a double wing, like a dual.
Well, I'm gonna
yeah,
take
I'll
some
go.
medication. I don't care what we fly in,
Yeah,
as long as I get there.
So how's that Battling Bestie? What's going on? Introduce yourself, Battling Bestie.
Yes.
Hey, so I'm Lindsay, also known as Lita La Tigra, RAR.
Arr.
But I wanted to tell you about what we just did. So we were in something called the Chasco Fiesta Parade last Saturday, also known as the Chasco Fiasco. If you know, you know. And we got to ride in a tank and throw beads, and it was awesome.
Wow.
So we were popped out the top and just chucking beads as often as we could. That
Were
was
you
it.
guys taking your tops off?
Hey,
I'm just asking.
don't you ask
I heard
my
beads
beard
and tops.
that.
I'm
Well,
No,
let
asking.
me-
but somebody did flash us though, so that was
I'd
pretty
be wrong
funny.
not to ask.
Well, I will say this. I will say this. The top was off of the tank that we were riding in. Yes, sir. So we at least had that privilege. One of our other Betties, or one of our newest Betties, she has an authentic World War II Jeep. I have the wannabe Warhawk, so mine's the modern. She's got the real deal. Her husband has a real Vietnam Jeep. He's a USMC, and together they also have 3 tanks. You heard me right. So we were riding in tanks, and
Wait.
fantastic.
They got 3
They
tanks.
have 3 tanks.
Yep.
I just want to go.
Yeah.
Yep.
You like to drive to the bar today?
Right.
Where does somebody in Florida park 3 tanks?
Well,
Anywhere they want.
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
That is so cool.
Just kidding.
I could just see driving down my neighborhood over here in Hurst, Texas, driving around in one of
You
those
know,
big
there's
tanks.
a couple guys in
That would be
Texas
pretty
have a few
cool. That'd be
tanks.
pretty cool.
I mean, it's,
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So she's right to bring that up for sure. That was a fantastic experience that we got to have. And we were lucky to be there too, because on hand was a strong police presence as needs to be now when there's crowds, but we were able to thank those officers for their service for the day. We chatted with the SWAT team for a few minutes even. And it was a fantastic experience. So yeah, that was definitely something good. We do what we can to reach out to as many different veterans and first responders on multiple levels. So whether it's a street parade or a community parade, or it is visiting an ALF assisted living facility, any kind of opportunity that we have like that, that's what we're all about, and that's what we live for.
You know what? You guys are doing such an amazing job across the country. All the Bettys are.
Yeah.
We're not only raising the spirits of our war veterans, but
Right.
you are also showing our younger generation, the kids that, that aren't learning this in school about the history of what our World War II veterans, Vietnam veterans have done. Because if it wasn't for our veterans, we would not be here right now talking on this freedom of speech and be able to talk
They wouldn't
freely
let
on
me on the air.
on the radio and on TV.
Preach,
so
brother, preach, because
it's
that's
all
what it is.
because-
That's
it's all
exactly why
because-
I have my Jeep the way that it is. And I can't tell you how many times, and you can ask my partner here, you can ask any of my friends, my husband, you can ask anybody that knows me. The design of my Jeep, which I'm gonna have to, I think I've sent you pictures, right, Pitbull? You've got pictures, you've seen
I'll
it.
post a picture.
We're gonna-
Yeah,
we-
yeah, for
we-
sure. And how many comments I get, it's just everything you just said just absolutely sent chills through my spine. My Jeep is, I call it the wannabe Warhawk. It's got the, face on it like the Flying Tigers, the Curtis P40 Warhawk. But how many people look at it and go, "Oh, it's a shark"? No, honey, let me take a second and tell you what it
Yes.
is. And let me tell you who the Tuskegee Airmen are. And let me tell you who the Flying Tigers are. And let me tell you why it's not a shark. And
Yeah.
so when you said that, where we wouldn't be living the life that we have right now if it weren't for these situations and the opportunity to not only appreciate those who have been there and done that for us, but to have the opportunity to speak to those who they don't know.
They don't know.
Because it's not touched on. And I am a retired teacher, speak as, of 18 years. So you're right. It's not something that's touched on enough.
And to bring this education on the forefront, put it up there. People are interested. Young kids are interested, but they do not, when you're not being taught about it, they go on to something else. So if we bring this in, like we met some wonderful young girls at the Flying Museum that got into because they went to the museum and now they are into aviation. They're into aeronautics.
Flying their helicopters.
Yeah, they're flying helicopters. They want to join the Air Force, and it gives them motivation. It gives them purpose, and it really raises up our youth. And I think that is what you guys are doing is great. Keep spreading the word because we will change the perception of our military
Absolutely.
one day at a time, man. We will make sure these guys get the respect that they deserve.
Yes, absolutely. And that's our honor and our privilege. So the way that, and I know, Lita La Tigra here, she really is absolutely 1,000% dedicated. It is the month of the military child, as we know. She was a military child. She was raised that way. And so this is something that it's not just something we think is cool or fun. This is something that truly, in some cases, especially with her, are in our blood.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
I was a military brat. My dad was a full bird in the Army. Yes. Grew up the whole nine.
And when I was not a my father served in World War II, but it really wasn't, didn't grow up in that. He just do it,
But
and
you
that was it.
yourself as a first responder.
Right. But
And we respect you as well.
like you even said it too, Pitbull. You didn't as a teenager. It sucks being a military brat. 'Cause you're jumping.
And he
from
was a dentist
right.
too.
You're jumping from base to base to base. You never know. But as you get older and you start remembering what your parents did for you and what your mom or your dad in the military, what they actually fought for, you start gaining a whole new respect for what our military did, and that's through education. And we have to educate and educate and educate, and we got to keep learning.
And and it isn't even our moms or our dads. It's sweet next door neighbor, Mr. Joe Schmo over there, or it's sweet Granny down the street, who's kind of by herself now, but she was a riveter back then.
Granny Gray Pants.
Yeah,
And
and
Mr.
so
Joe Schmo and Granny Gray Pants.
Sounds
Yeah.
like
Right. They live they're in Florida. They are in the villages of Florida. Oh, tell me every time I turn around to somebody in Florida, I go, yeah, it's ADD. I go, tell me about the villages, and nobody could speak about the villages. It's like this dark secret. Is that
there's
true?
a documentary out that I even watched because I was like, really? Because it's not that far. Now I'm not from Florida at all.
That's my mom. She's in Daytona.
Yes. So Florida's
something
definitely a
about that.
transplant state for sure. Well, I'm probably one of the bigger transplant states, I would think.
Yes. Where are you originally from?
Rochester, New York.
Ah, nice. Another New Yorker.
Ah,
All
it
right.
didn't work out.
I knew I liked you.
And I'm the opposite. So I'm 100% Florida born and raised.
Yep.
Actually, my parents met at MacDill Air Force Base, and my dad spent most of his career at Fort Hood.
Oh, wow.
okay.
Okay.
Nice.
All
I
right.
love Florida.
I like visiting Florida. I mean,
Yeah.
I like visiting my mom. She's in
Yeah.
Daytona, and of course, she's in your bike week and all that. But
Yeah.
I love Florida.
But still,
weather.
there's always something. There's always something to do. And like you said, what you guys have the prime opportunity to just really raise that American flag up, and
Mhm.
and and you have a state that cares. You have a
Yes.
state that is proud of our red, white, and blue, and is proud of our veterans. Some of these states have turned against our veterans. They don't believe in our veterans, and thank God for Governor DeSantis out there, who's doing a great job.
Mhm.
And I'm sure you have his support 100%.
Yeah. And these girls are doing amazing work down in Florida. I mean, if you guys want to join the Battling Buddies, of course, you go to battlingbuddies.org, pick your state, pick Florida, pick Texas, whatever state, and join. I mean, it's super easy, and just have the passion that we do for veterans and first responders, and getting out there and, just giving back to the community. And these girls are doing it.
And I'm just going to reverse back to like when you guys had that little bake off, and you guys did those cookies. You were
Mhm.
baking cookies, and I just thought it was for me to see this
Authentic.
because it was so authentic. Because you guys were all in the 1950s garb. You were using all the old mixers, and you looked like you were having such a blast. And to bring all this stuff. What's the matter?
Johnny Rizzo's mom lives in the village.
Uh-oh. Johnny, sorry. What's going on in the villages, Johnny Rizzo? Motorcycle Mayhem, Johnny Rizzo.
He's in New York.
But it really get off the couch, man. Stop doing nothing. Stop being lazy. Stop making excuses. Get out there and be part of the cause, and get out there and just be something. You'll feel so much better
There's so
about
many
yourself.
organizations that can fit your vibe.
Mhm.
I
Yeah.
mean, if it's not the Betties, it's not 99, it's something. You can find something
Yeah.
that is, to get out there and just do better, and get out there and be
Without a
positive in the
doubt.
community.
We want to see some pictures of the parade. Keep sending them to us,
Yes,
because
send
we will
us.
share them out on our pages as well.
And send us the flyer of your event. If you guys have events in Florida, send them to us. We will put them on our page as well, because we got listeners all across the country. So let us put your event on our page as well.
Thank you so much for that offer. Yeah, we would love to do that. We definitely have multiple events coming up, not just this weekend, but in the months to come. And it's interesting too that you said that, like, don't get off the couch, don't just sit there and do something. And that's one of the things that I always like to say, especially when we are in situations. So I'm kind of joking, but I'm not. The weather here, obviously, in a state like Florida, is quite extreme, and sometimes it's very physically difficult and painful to be out there. And one of the things that I said in a in a difficult moment last summer, when people were like, "Oh gosh, I can't do this. I can't do this." It's like, listen, do you know what our military has to do?
Yes, exactly.
So let's do this, and let's make it the best we can, and that's it. So even if it's just a silly little small town little festival, or a small assisted living facility, or a big parade, or a big event like Sun and Fun or something, it doesn't matter. It's wherever, anybody that you meet that you have the opportunity to show your appreciation and respect for. That's absolutely the way we live our lives.
Johnny
Everything-
Rizzo with Motorcycle Mayhem is saying, send me a flyer, because he's got people down in Florida that he could probably want to attend that event. So we're going to send Johnny Rizzo over there a flyer as well. But you just touched on something really that holds near and dear to me as well. You know what? We can spend 2, 3, 4 hours in the cold and the heat and everything else, because our military and our first responders do not worry about the cold. They do not worry about the climate. They do not worry about the heat. They're out there protecting us 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, on a moment's notice. And
right.
they don't worry about the weather. So we can spend one day, couple hours, sucking it up and supporting them.
Yeah, and it's not, so I'm just saying it, and not that that's a problem. I don't want to make it sound like it is. It isn't. But yeah, it's hot in Florida. Sometimes, you're sitting there like, geez, this is too much.
We understand.
Yeah, I know.
Texas in August, man. Texas.
We're just preheating right now.
Yeah. But it's one of those things where, and it's not even just weather or climate, although that is a great example. It's anything that you have going on in your life.
Jesus. Sorry,
Yeah.
not you.
Don't let me let the pimple out on you guys.
Our guests are getting rowdy.
They're getting rowdy.
Get him, Pitbull. Get him.
I mean, I've seen your wife. You should learn how to behave better. I mean, I know she's got you in place. I know. I'm already nervous.
All right, ladies, we gotta take a break, and then we are gonna support you 100%. If we get down to Florida, if you guys get to Texas, man, let's do something together and let's run an event. It'd be nice to have a Texas Florida event together, and we can put that stuff. Maybe we'll meet in the middle. Maybe we meet in the summer in Destin, Florida. That's not too bad, right?
You like to plan. We got a child. I can't. Gosh, there's a
bring your child. Bring your child.
Like,
listen.
Myself.
Your child is no excuse.
I know. I have one. It's fine. I'm just kidding. But yes, no, we love you guys. We love all the work you're doing out in Florida. Appreciate you guys coming on the show. Much support. I hope you guys like all the best, and we will talk. And anytime you guys want to come on, anytime,
yes,
let us know.
Thank you so much for having us.
Thank you, ladies. Get it. Mwah. All right, we're gonna take a quick break. Here from The Blues Magazine, one of the largest police. No, actually, the largest police magazine across the country, supporting all our first responders out there, and we'll be back with Flex and getting healthy with Biker Fitness after this.
The reason why I made the decision to found and open Glenn Larson Law is for one simple reason. Every single client deserves to have their voice heard, their recovery made, and most of all, the closure and the compensation that they deserve. It has been my personal mission and personal dedication to making sure that every single thing we do with every ounce of loyalty, honor, certainty, and absolute unity to make sure that our client's story is told every single time. This is why I founded Glenn Larson Law.
Me and Glenn go way back. We first met in middle school. We were in high school together. We also worked together in college, waiting tables our first couple of years of school. And so we worked in the service industry together for a few years. So that kind of kept our tight bond together.
At Glenn Larson Law Injury Attorneys, we are passionate about serving our clients by honoring their stories, their voices, and their recovery. Our firm is built on the foundational principles of honor, certainty, passion, unity, and loyalty. To achieve our vision, we uphold our loyalty to our clients, each other, ourselves, our families, and our clients' families and friends
in every single thing that we do.
We are dedicated to providing exceptional support and guidance, ensuring that every client's journey is respected and valued.
With absolute certainty, we stand ready. Call us. We are here to serve you in your time of injury, to make sure that you receive the compensation, the closure, and most of all, that your story is told.
You got me. Hi, this is Flex with 99% Radio Network, and this is Biker Fitness. Today, I brought on Dr. Cody. We're going to keep it non-formal. Does that work with you, Cody?
Absolutely, non-formal's the best.
Bet. The great thing about this show is as we build momentum, I wanted to cover all aspects of fitness, nutrition, wellness, and I know when it comes to the biker world, chiropractic, getting a line, lower back issues, shoulder issues, knee issues. This man right here has had, not only a biker enthusiast, but also focuses on helping us get back on the road quicker and safer. So wanted to talk with Cody. He's going to tell us a little bit about himself. They're new to the DFW area, so he's going to tell you a little bit about that. And also kind of give us some insight on what he's experienced and kind of help us moving forward and keeping us on the road. So, Dr. Cody, glad to have you on the show.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. So tell us a little bit about yourself.
So I'm originally from Iowa, so a small Midwest town. I'm a Midwest boy. I'm a farm boy through and through.
Okay. So
we grew up on the farm, dirt bikes, four-wheelers, tractors, cars. We're racing everything. We're wrecking everything. That was kind of that was my life growing up. Okay. So how it relates to chiropractic is I was going to a chiropractor ever since I was a kid. So that was part of what my family saw. It was a healthy way to live. I was also a really big sport enthusiast too. So I was in football, basketball, baseball, track, you name it, I did it kind of thing. So staying healthy, staying well, and being able to go out there and do the things that I do was really important to me growing up.
I got you. Okay. And we were talking earlier for the show. We still got the bike that we're trying to get that down here right now.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah. So I have a little cruiser back home that I bought when I was 18 years old. And I bought my first cruiser. It was 800cc, Suzuki, nothing too crazy, nothing too fancy. But it was fun. It was fun to mess around on, fun to be out on the road, be in the open road. I mean, anyone that's ever had that experience, you can't put words to it. It's just so freeing to be out there, but it is back home. So we need to get that down here. You going to help me with that?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Let's do it.
Road trip, Candy. Yeah. So the cool thing about this, as we've been talking, you've had experiences with, incidents with motorcycles trying to, motorcycle members trying to recover, how, as far as with day to day, as far as when your love for motorcycles, how do you feel like chiropractor? How do you feel like how you fit in that kind of helps us get back on the road?
So you kind of alluded to it a little bit earlier. All different types of issues, neck and low back. There are huge ones that I deal with consistently on a day-to-day basis. I have a guy that come into the clinic, and it was an unfortunate event. He had gotten to an accident not too long ago, about a month ago.
Okay.
He was coming down a road, car ended up hitting him from the side, and he's in horrible pain. A ton of different issues got going on. It's neck, it's mid back, low back, it's knees, it's ankles, it's everything.
Yeah.
Right. So, being a biker enthusiast, there is that fun of freedom of being on the road, but there is that risk of that injury can happen at any time. Right. So the thing is, like you said, how do we get better, be healthier, and get back on the road as fast as possible? We sat down with this guy. We divulged a little care plan of basically what we're going to do treatment wise. And this is the plan we're going to follow. Now with him specifically, we actually got an attorney involved because it was an accident. Okay. So we're able to coordinate with attorneys. We're also able to coordinate with other medical doctors if needed. Okay. That being neurologists, that being pain management doctors too. We have access to those doctors as well through our clinic. Uh-huh. So that was a super beneficial story. Another story that I had of the client that came in, he had actually had a spinal surgery. So he was fused L4, L5 due to a
lower lumbar.
A different accident. What had happened, he went to the surgeon, fused him up, and the surgeon said, "I'll see you in 10 years." So he was kind of confused about that. So then what happens, 10 years almost to the
statute of limitations.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, we have a certain time frame we got to work this in here. Right. But so what happened was 10 years later, the date, he actually goes in the surgeon, gets fused another segment above, another segment below. So come around full circle, he was a biker enthusiast too. Had a Harley, a little street glide, that he started experiencing a lot more aches and pains post-surgery.
Okay. And after that, fusing, top or, with the lumbar, to me, a more sedentary, not an active lifestyle will make that worse.
Oh, absolutely. I tell a lot of people in the clinic, motion is lotion. And as you being a person who's in fitness, our bodies were made to move. Correct. And the way our spine is put together is each joint, each vertebrae needs to move a little bit. So all that together equals our full ability to move, whether that's bending or side to side or front to back. And so what happens when you start fusing these vertebrae, you start losing mobility, right? You start to have more aches and more pains. And then you sit on something as a bike and you have even more pain. So you can't enjoy the little things that you do. Okay. And so what happens is we take this guy, we come through a series of adjustments, and we kind of jumped into it. But chiropractic is really just expressing the body's natural healing capabilities.
Okay.
Simple example is if you get a cut on your arm, get a paper cut, you leave it alone, what's going to happen? It's going to heal. You don't need a ton of ointment or stitches, or doesn't get infected. It's going to heal. That's how powerful our body is. And so with this kind of guy, when you start to put hardware in the body, your body's not going to like that. And then you tie that with being sedentary and not moving, that's going to cause more issues, more aches, and more pains. And then you're not going to be able to enjoy the simple things in life, let alone riding a Harley down the road.
Okay, and I'm going to throw a little curveball at you. I'm going to play devil's advocate, and I think even John, even Sideshow can appreciate this, and even the biker world. I've known some guys that you can't let alone touch their beard, let alone touch them. And I'm being prior. Yes, you did. Yes, you did. But I will say that, prior military, there's some of us out there that, when you get in certain positions, I feel like either I should be giving you dessert or you should be buying me dinner. You got, I went in with, with the wife, and I was trying to get adjusted, and it was like, he was trying to adjust me in ways where I was like, do I need to give him a hug? And I'm just like, so I can see how some of my brothers on the club, you can't touch my beard. But my thing is how do you have guys that just can't relax, or how do you get over that where it's like, hey, I don't want to be touched, but then, hey, this is the best thing for me? What does that look like?
No, absolutely. And I guess the good part is I don't touch beards, so I stay away from the beards, so we don't have any issues with that one. But there are plenty of people that don't like to be touched or don't like to be really close to a lot of different people. And so part of the way we can break that barrier is it's going to be a relationship between you and I, right? It's how do we come together for something that's better for your body, that's healthier for me, that's better for me. So there's that part of you're going to see me, and it's going to be consistent. And over time, what's going to happen, your body will learn to relax. Because you'll learn that, hey, this is what we're doing. This is how we're doing it. This is the necessary evil that I'm going to endure to feel better, to get over this hump, to get back to enjoying what I want to enjoy. Okay. Does that make sense?
Okay. It does make sense. Either I'm like super like, don't touch me, or it's like you got me relaxed, like I might fart. And it's one of those things.
we want the in between that part. I'm not gonna lie though, I've had a person or two, let go of a fart. Yeah, it happens.
I've had that. Yeah.
It happens. But the other thing is too we talk about that as soon as you come to the clinic. Okay. And the part of relaxing is actually really important. So we live in a society now where it's always so go, go, go. It's do this, go to that, do this. I have all these stressors. I have all these things on top of my shoulders. And that's also not healthy for us. Okay. So we do also have to understand that, where there's a reason why your body is in protective mode all the time. Right. And now that can be beneficial at times. Say, where's the threat? What's going on? But we also do have to understand that the more we stay in that zone, the less healing can actually occur.
No, and with this, we can go more into a proactive mode than opposed to waiting for a situation like the lower lumbar. Yeah. So like my bikers on the road, those long rides, or those what we talked about, the lower back, the shoulders. How can you help us to stay on the road longer? How does that look like in your world from your profession?
Yeah, it's kind of those things. Is when I make this little analogy, when was the best time to buy a house? It was 10 years ago. When's the second best time? It's right now. Ultimately, depending on people's opinions, but sooner rather than later. Having a proactive mindset to anything you do in life is gonna better serve you down the road. And so a lot of times you're going to come in. Flex, how old are you? Don't mind me asking. Oh, you might. Okay, you're 19 years old.
No, I'm 47.
47. So 47. One of the big questions I would ask most people is, how old are you right now, and how do you feel right now? And if the answer is not, I feel great, I love my life, I love what I do, maybe we should look. They're lying. Yeah, and we should look at things, because then I'm going to ask you, well, how do you want to feel in 10 years? Because all that's going to be dependent on what you're doing today.
But my thing is, after a certain age, it's really how do my knees, my lower back, how my shoulders feel.
Well, here's the other thing. I'll give you a caveat to that. That's kind of our general thought process. As we get older, my body just starts to hurt more and more and more. Mm. And part of that is we just kind of stop doing things we did as when we were kids. You know,
Fair
we
enough.
stopped having fun. We stopped running around. We stopped rolling on the ground. Now, some people, hey, if I fall on the ground, I can't get back up. But you should be able to do that.
Yeah.
And if you do fall down and you can't get back up, that button thing.
Greg-
Definitely get the button thing. But we should.
Question. I
Yeah.
just got a question for you, Cody. You know, we're talking about the injury aspect of a
Mhm.
chiropractor, but when we go out on those rides, and everybody knows if you're riding those Texas roads, right, it gets bumpy. It knocks you out of
They're
alignment.
almost as bad
Yeah.
as
It
Oklahoma.
knocks you out of alignment, which can also hinder you. You know, riding every weekend. By the end of the month, you are totally out of adjustment, and now you can't ride.
Mhm.
So is it practical for somebody who does ride to maybe go in for those weekly adjustments, those monthly adjustments? What do you suggest on that?
No, absolutely. Is you bring up a good point. You know, you're riding on motorcycles that are comfy to a degree, but you'll experience a lot of different aches and pains by riding motorcycles. You will. And so the nice part about our clinic is we only have clinics in DFW, but we have clinics also in Colorado, and we're trying to expand throughout the nation.
Okay.
So the nice part would be if you're going on rides, you're going across country, the aches and pains that you start to feel, instead of popping ibuprofen or Advil or Tylenol, all the things that were popping, you just stop at your local chiropractor to get an adjustment there. But weekly adjustments they're beneficial. It's being proactive. It's you feel better kind of thing. It's just always better to be proactive. Yeah, absolutely. Get in alignment, stay in alignment. Everything we're doing in our life is basically throwing us out, from the food we're eating to the stresses we're enduring to the fun motorcycles that we're riding. You know, all those things are basically just throwing us out of alignment.
Okay. So being in the DFW area with our 99% radio network listeners, motorcycle enthusiasts, everybody that has the issues we talked about, you know, how can they get in touch with you? What can they expect? What kind of hookups can they get? Because I love hookups.
Yeah, absolutely.
You like hookups?
Everyone loves a good
I love
hookup
hookups,
here.
especially for 99%.
Yeah.
All
Yeah,
right, we
absolutely.
need some hookups.
No,
Yeah, we
yeah,
got
we keep.
That's right.
You know, so that's a good question. There's multiple ways you can find us. Easiest way, you can go to Google. People that are Google savvy, you just type on our website. It's going to be Well Adjusted Chiropractic, Arlington, Texas. If you want to get more specific, if you're in the Colorado area, actually, you can go in Well Adjusted Colorado. You can go to that Google website. You're going to find a phone number. You can call us. And what I would ask you guys to do is you can just tell the person that you're talking to that you heard about this radio show. You heard me talk about it. And so we can give you a little bit of a special, a little new patient special. What you come in, what it looks like is you get a full health history. You get neurological testing. You get orthopedic testing. In most of our facilities, we have x-rays that we can do in-house, right? So in the facility, we have x-rays we have access to. Now, that's a normal value of $279, which is a lot. But if you book a patient special, you call someone and you said you heard this, we'll do it for $64.
Okay. Now how does that work? Because I know a little bit about that because I had some surgery. When you go from what X-rays look at, but then you also have MRIs, which really that gets down to the nitty gritty.
Yep.
How typically do you need those MRIs to back with the X-rays, or do they coincide? How's that work?
It really depends. It depends on what you're dealing with, right? So I have a few bikers that I came in, they had numbness and tingling going down the arm. Okay. So we took x-rays. We couldn't find anything definitive on x-rays. We do a few adjustments. Things don't really get better. And then we send for an MRI. Well, then we figure out that he's got a pretty massive disc herniation poking out of his neck, which is causing that numbness and tingling down his arm. Right. So then we have a decompression machine. So we go into different therapies after that. So it's one of those x-rays if clinically necessary. And then depending after that, you might need further imaging because that can happen. There's plenty of times that I have to refer out for patients, but not very often.
Okay. And with riding, that can be pretty serious. So let's talk about this. How are you their savior? What's your niche? What is it? We're like, hey, when you come to me, you've been struggling with, this is what we can do. You can feel a little better about it. What does that look like?
I tell a lot of people structure determines function. Right. So, we're taking x-rays of your spine and we're looking at how your spine looks, but we forget what gives us function is our brain. It's our brain, our brainstem, our spinal cord, which your vertebral column protects your spinal cord. Right. So if you can think about creating a really strong spinal cord and a strong spinal column and then through a healthy nervous system, you're going to move better. right? Hopefully you're gonna live longer. Obviously, the aches and pains are gonna go away. I'm really not worried about aches and pains, to be honest with you.
Okay.
It's other people's, lifestyles, other health behaviors that they may have that I might be more concerned about.
Okay. So with the fitness and the nutrition
Mhm.
side of things that they need to be focused more kind of on a daily, this would be something that they might want to focus on a quarterly, 6 months, once a year. What does that look like?
So that's a very good. Every case is very different. I have people that come in for one adjustment a month, and their body feels great. They stay in alignment. They hold adjustments, and it's not a big deal. But they're also doing what they should be doing. They also are exercising. They also are eating healthy. They also are maybe taking some supplements. They're also maybe, attending some church services, or they're in a community group. Those are those people. I have other people, they eat fast food every day. They drink quite often. They don't exercise as much as they should. Then they might need a few more adjustments a little bit more often.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yes, sir.
It depends on the person.
The information is endless. I love
Mhm.
that. 2 things that I'm going to challenge is, 1, you're getting your bike back from Iowa. I challenge that we have a little group that we ride with, and I would say in the next 30 days, I challenge you to have your bike back and to go on a ride with us.
Ooh, it's snowing in Iowa.
But you know what? I don't take no for an answer.
That's true too. Hey, what if we do this? What if we get a bike? We get one of those side wagons, and I'll sit in the side by side sidecar, and we'll ride up there and
I'm
get it.
not a passenger princess. What are you talking about?
Oh, yeah, that's a solid point. That's a solid point. Yeah, you're right. You're right.
You know what? But hey, if that's what it is, if there is.
Speaking of passenger princess, we want to go right up to thank you for all your time with the chiropractor. I want to put all your information online.
Yeah.
Get people in touch. I'm definitely going to be a fan. I have titanium in my lower spine as well from a snowboarding accident, so I'm all game for this. But we want to get into motorcycle safety, so we're going to get to Lori Montoya with Biker Down.
Awesome.
You cut me out.
I'm just kidding.
Really? He just cut you off?
What we're gonna do? Are you going on the bike down? Yep. Sorry, we had
I don't know. You told me to say that.
Months ago to the day, I was driving on southbound Santa Fe, and somebody did a suicide left in front of me, and I T-boned him at 45 miles an hour. From that point forward, I don't remember anything for the next 18 days because I was in a coma.
She broke 9 bones, lacerated my spleen, put me in the hospital for 21 days. I remember none of it.
Biker Down was founded in 2011 after riding several rides over the summer and seeing tragically my friends get injured. And I felt that there was a need missing in Denver and in Colorado for an organization that helped the biker community. As you may know, the bikers are one of the most charitable entities out there. And what we do is provide them a variety of services such as medical equipment, financial assistance if necessary, and a plethora of resources to help them stay afloat during the hardest time in their life, which is their recovery. My biggest hope is that I'll never get another phone call that a biker's gone down. But, that's not realistic. So I think my true realistic dream is that we can help as many as we can help, because it is life-changing for them. Certainly donating and volunteering your time. And even if you can't do that, attend our events. Attend our event and get a $20 t-shirt for your $20. Those kind of things make a big difference in a small nonprofit like ours.
Hey, welcome back to the award-winning 99% Radio Network here in the Fishbowl. Man, that was Biker Fitness. Excuse me, with Flex and Cody. Ooh, sorry, woo. All this exercise is making me cough.
You're allergic.
We're gonna have Cody's information up on our website. So if you go to www.99% PERCENT Radio Network, you'll see on our support page his logo will be there. You click that link, it'll bring you right to Cody's page. And if you mention the 99, you want to go get adjustment, like you said, $65 opposed to $240.
Yeah, I know I'm going to be posting about it because I'm going.
And he also said he just pulled me aside before he left the studio, was he does have the opportunity to give veterans, because they can go for free for nonprofit. So we're gonna discuss more about that. So that is a plus for our veterans, and it's great that he supports our veterans as well. As supporting our veterans, nobody supports our veterans better than our returning guest, Roy Davis. Hey, welcome, Roy.
How you doing?
Who is not the president of Roll Call?
I am not the president.
Yeah, Mary called you out on that one.
She was like,
called us out on that one.
Mary does a fine job at
Mary,
that, so I'm going to let her keep that job.
Mary can keep the president role.
Yes. Roy, since actually Pitbull introduced me to Roll Call and what Roll Call is all about, give us a recap on how Roll Call started.
Well, Roll Call started back in 2014. It's been a little over 10 years now. I was not with the organization back then. There was a gentleman by the name of Kevin Bolt who started out with having, I think he had 6 or 7 or maybe 8 World War II veterans that would meet and have lunch together. And of course, that's back in 2014. And they decided that they'd like maybe to come back and do it again. So they'd meet again. And Kevin would usually pick up the tab back when it was 6 to 8,
wow,
guys.
Yeah, nice.
But then it started getting a little bit bigger. And 10, then 12, then 16.
You guys are splitting the tip.
Kevin couldn't quite make that payment out of his wallet. It started getting bigger and bigger. And they eventually moved. They moved to a couple of different restaurants. And I'm not sure exactly all the ones that they had, or the couple of different restaurants that they went to. But they eventually got large enough to where they moved to Birchman Baptist Church.
Birchman Baptist Church. That's
Birchman
a fun thing to say. Birchman Baptist Church.
Yes, and Birchman has been quite kind to us over the years, and they've been hosting roll calls since back in 2016, and have helped us set up and set the tables up and tablecloths and the audio visual and the stage and all of that. They've done a real fine job for us over the years, and then we got Brenda, who caters in the food, and she's been doing that since 2016.
Oh.
I came on board in 2017, but Brenda's been with us since 2016 and has done a fine job.
And she's doing the food. The food is
does
good.
all the food.
Now
The food is
they
great.
cook all the food. Cook all the food on premise.
They a lot of it she caters it in, and there's a lot that's
Oh,
prepared.
okay.
That's prepared there. We had spaghetti and meatballs last luncheon, and she did all the spaghetti and did all the cooking right there. So it was
Nice.
did a fine job.
And that's also it's a served meal, right?
It is.
It's served.
Flex, your wife left her phone in the studio.
We have volunteers that serve the food, and by golly, we can get the food to everybody
The food
in
is
about
really
10
good.
minutes or so.
The food, I've been to the luncheons. The food is really good. It's a home cooked meal.
Excellent.
I
food.
mean, it is really good. I mean, like what you get at your mom's house, your grandmother's house. I mean, like it's good. I mean,
Yeah.
flavorful. And they sit down. They don't have to like order from a menu. It's like everything there. And the veterans get to sit and get a served meal. And then they get a presentation.
Right,
of like,
deserved. Yeah.
Yes.
with dessert and all.
Everything.
Nobody
The
has to get up. They can just sit at the table and
Exactly.
enjoy themselves.
Wheelchairs, everything welcome. I'm going to be bringing my father-in-law. We just moved him into my house. He's a Vietnam veteran. He's 85. I'm going to be bringing him to the next
Wow. We'll be looking-
April 25th. It's the day before Hops and Props, I
25th
believe.
is on. Yeah, and it's going to be on base.
Yes.
So we've been invited to the base for, I think this is the 3rd year now.
Mhm.
They've invited us out to have our luncheon inside one of the hangar bays, and I believe it's
That's awesome.
VR 59.
Mhm.
It's a Navy hangar bay, and with the big flag in the back.
I love it.
It's just really nice.
And once you get on the roll call like newsletter, or I guess you call it the newsletter, you're invited. You get a news or email every month on the the luncheon. So you get a reminder every month on when the luncheons are and the RSVP. There's only so many amount of seats available because it is very popular. So you get an email every month and you have to RSVP and then you can get to the luncheons.
Yeah.
So it keeps you informed. It keeps everything. They tell you about all the birthdays of veterans that are coming up. There's a lot of information. The clay shoot that comes up.
Yeah.
I think you guys did some giveaway with a Bronco too or something.
Yeah, we had a vehicle for good, I believe it was called. And
Yeah.
they did the Corvette, and now they're working on another. They're working with the same group, and they're going to do that again. And I believe there's a pickup truck and maybe another Corvette. I can't remember.
So there's
exactly.
a lot of things going
But
on. With
there is a
Roll
lot
Call.
going on with roll call.
It's a very active group.
Now, just to give a big shout out to Birchman Baptist Church. Now, you guys were there, then you had to move because they wanted to expand for you, right?
So Birchman, they really wanted to keep us around. We started getting quite big, and we weren't sure how many people were going to be able to fit. And then Birchman decided to do some renovation so that we could. They didn't want us to leave, and we don't want to leave. We love Birchman and what they do for us. So they renovated and made it so that we can put and got it to where we can put some more people in.
That is amazing. That's so wonderful for the church to do that for
Absolutely
roll call and our veterans.
In the interim, Pastor Clark at Willow Park Baptist Church out in Willow Park has taken us in. Brother Bob at Birchman.
Brother Bob at Birchman.
New Pastor Clark. Yep. There we
I'm
go.
loving
Another
it.
beat.
Brother Bob at Birchman.
Yep. Brother Bob at Birchman Baptist Church.
Say that.
Put us in contact with Pastor Clark out at Willow Park, and Pastor Clark has taken us in, and we've been out there since. I'm trying to think since the beginning of the year. Anyway, I can't remember. If
Well,
we
the
had-
renovations were going on.
Right,
because I
right.
wasn't at the December one. I believe we've been out there since like November or December. So we'll be out there until at least June, and there will be no luncheon in July. We take a break.
Well, I know
because
what you're
Birch-
doing in July.
and then we should be back at Birchman in August. I think they're finished in June, but we'll have our last luncheon at Willow Park in June, and then we'll go back to Birchman in August after our break.
I love what you guys do for every month. It's something for the veterans to look forward to every month. It's something, I mean, they put it on their calendar. I mean, that's something that they plan. I mean, they show up, they know they're going to meet all their friends. And so I know that in July, you guys don't have something. That's where the Battling Betties come in. And of course, we are going to do it again, the Beers and Betties in July. I want to continue to do that and support you guys as much as I can. I'm thinking we might need a bigger venue. Because it's getting kind of popular. I bet, well, you know, Beers and Betties at the Big B's.
Yeah.
But we've
Say that.
this luncheon that's coming up in April. I believe we have about 567 RSVPs already.
I
almost
saw.
600.
Wow.
Yeah.
So we want people to get in there and sign up so that we know how many people we need to feed and how much room. And we got to supply a list to the base so that these people will be able to get access.
I did see as you RSVP to the event, you do have to, it's basic information, but they do need your ID number because you are going on a military base.
Yeah.
They need to identify that you are who you say they are when you go
your
on
license
base.
number and
Yes.
the state it was issued was the important thing
Yes.
that everybody, even I this time, when I
Everybody.
RSVP'd in, because if you want the license from one, you want it from all. So even
Right.
being
Right.
a board member and having
Yeah.
an ID
Right.
myself, they still wanted that us on the list.
Yes,
with
and they've
our-
had me as a guest before, and I put mine down, but they didn't necessarily ask because I think I put it in prior to something.
Yeah.
But now I have my father-in-law coming on, so I have to add that as well.
You got
So
to
I mean,
register him.
yeah, you have to register him. It's not a big deal. You put the
Right.
number in. I mean, it makes sense. They want to know if it matches. I mean,
Yeah.
takes 2 seconds.
No,
and it should be a lot of fun. A lot of people like this.
The
A
venue.
lot of people like this venue this
Well, you
time
say it's an
in
air
April
hanger.
because it's on base and people don't
Yeah.
always have a chance
Well, you know,
to
that's
get
got-
on base and see what our military does.
Well, that's got to be great for all our veterans that are out there because it's home.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It's home to
Absolutely.
them, and they identify with the hangers and everything that's going to be in there. So it is what eating the meal there is going to be like. it's going to bring back so many memories.
Yeah, and it fits. I mean, everything is perfect. I mean, you're on a military base. It's all about veterans. It's all about honoring and serving our veterans, and being in a hangar bay and having some static displays. It just all works so well together. It's perfect.
And you guys always have a good like presentation. There's always some good information or past like a war story that somebody shares. You know, there's a lot. It's not just a meal. It's like hanging out. It's just hanging out with other veterans.
It's fellowship,
like-minded people.
It's just like, and a lot of these guys, this is the big deal for them each month.
You know,
They wait for this.
My father-in-law goes out with his neighbor every Wednesday. They go out because it's that, you know, he's at home all day long and he's home all week. But on Wednesdays, he goes out.
So he
with
leaves
their
the
neighbor.
house when you're on
both
the air, so he doesn't.
They both go out. But you know, and I understand what you're saying, because he looks forward to that Wednesday out with his friend. You know, where they can just go, they can go out. So these military veterans wait all month. Some of them don't have the family anymore. So this means so much for them to get out and go interact with other people instead of sitting home watching Gunsmoke or
I've watched a lot of Westerns lately.
I like Gunsmoke.
I do.
I don't want to sit around and watch it all.
I do like.
Right, but this gives them that activity, and you know, like the Battling Betties from Florida that we're just on, talking about the generation that's in Florida of World War II veterans. We're losing those guys.
Yes,
they're getting up there in age. Al is going to be 99. Don Graves is going to be 100. You know, so that, and thank God they're still around, because those stories are wonderful. You know,
we got Jack Stowe that's 98 that lied about his age, and they still haven't figured it out.
I remember that story. Yes,
I'm gonna be picking him up Saturday and taking him to a Rangers ball game. Him and one other gentleman that's a Korean War vet. We're bringing a bunch of veterans to the Rangers.
That's awesome.
Baseball game on Saturday, so that'll be kind of fun.
I love that.
Mary, what?
Yes, Mary just chimed in and said there'll be 200 active duty at the luncheon.
Wow. That's right. I forgot to mention that. Thank you, Mary.
Yeah,
that's awesome. I love what you guys do.
Yeah, well, it's a lot of fun, and I've been on the board for about 8 years now, and
he's not the president.
There's just us, I'm not the president. There's just us board members, and you know, somebody made a comment to me one time. They said, you know, we have organizations that plan a gala, and it takes all year long to plan a gala for 500 people, or more, or maybe less. And you guys do this every single month. We pull it off.
Well, you have a staff of wonderful volunteers, because it's all volunteers.
Yeah.
And that's why it's so important to make a $10 donation. Or you know what? Instead of going to Starbucks for that month, you know, take $50 and buy five veterans meals.
Yeah.
Because it's about $10-15 per meal at this point. I mean, I know prices get up.
We were talking about having to raise it to 15, but
which
I'm
is
not
understandable.
sure yet if that's.
But it's understandable. I mean, prices are prices. I mean, especially if you serve eggs.
But it's worth. It really is. It really is worth it.
Right.
Yeah.
It really is worth it.
It really is.
Of course, veterans eat free.
Yeah.
And non-veterans will.
But it still costs you to buy that veteran their meal. It's still. So that's why if roll
you
call,
ain't getting a home cooked meal for $10.
So if you go to roll-call-org.
Yes.
You know,
he's awful at emails. I'm gonna start speaking for emails.
As soon as you put that up, you're gonna see the donate. You're gonna see that donate button. Hit that donate button. Donate $5, $10, $15, whatever you can afford, because it all adds up. And $10 will buy that meal for that veteran that month, and you know that rolls into the next month.
Yep.
And this is why you've been able to do this since 2016.
Absolutely.
You know,
it's everything is what comes in from the people that love our vets. They're the ones that make the donations, and we're able to do this. And we got a campaign going on now on our website where you can sponsor a vet, and you can do that on a monthly basis. Yeah, I don't know if that's what you were talking about. But
yeah,
you can donate. But we do have a program going on
that you can donate monthly.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
So what? We'll got to check that out, because you know what?
Roll.org.
I'm sure there's a lot of people that want to maybe say, hey, you know what? For $50 a month, or the price of my Starbucks per month, I can make sure that veterans getting fed.
And our veterans, they deserve it. It's a lot of fun. I can't say enough about Roll Call.
Well, I have to say, I have to give a big shout out to Roll Call, because we just moved in. Like I said, my 85-year-old father-in-law, he's a Vietnam veteran, and we changed his mail. Of course, it takes a little bit of time for mail to change, but I went to the mailbox and there was 2 birthday cards to him, handwritten from roll call for his birthday.
Wow. Yeah.
That meant so much. He teared up. He was just like, I see him because I don't tell him I have cameras. I see him get up and I see him read them like constantly. He's wheelchair bound. You know, he lives with us and he found that. I mean, that broke my, I don't want to say broke my heart, but like it feels like it warmed my heart. And then
It's
to
the
see
little
him
things
read
in
them,
life sometimes
yeah.
that really get people and hit them hard sometimes. We just pinned some Vietnam veterans, about 60 of them at our last luncheon. And it's just a small pin, but it means a lot to these guys. And when you welcome these guys home, because of the welcome that they got back then wasn't much of a welcome. Yeah, these guys get tears in their eyes when you hand them that pin and a proclamation, and you tell them, "Hey, welcome," and you say, "Welcome home," and appreciate your service and what you did, men and women, because we have men and women that have received those pins. And that's another thing I want to make sure: our women, females, we don't.
Not our male females, our women females.
You know, there's been times.
We got to make sure we say that correctly now.
There's been times when I've had, but I'm standing talking to a bunch of men that I know that were in the military, and they've got a wife or a friend with them, and female, and she says, "Well, I was in the military too."
They
and
go
I
right
feel
past
so
them. They go,
bad
"Thank you for
about
the
it."
service, thank you for the service," and they pass right past that woman, and they're like, and she's probably more decorated sometimes.
Us guys like to wear our hats and our shirts, and a lot of the females don't wear a hat or shirt, so it's hard to.
Well, it's not very
them.
attractive outfit for the
That's
everyday
true.
wear.
So, but we have men and women, and we have quite a few women that come to roll call now that are female veterans, and yes, some of them outranked their husbands or outranked a lot of the guys that are sitting in the audience.
I love it.
So thank you so much for the females that have served in the United States military, and we're trying hard to make sure that we recognize them. So I need to get in a habit of saying men and women, and when I do the final closeout of the show each month, and we do all the different songs for the different branches, I make sure that I always men and women of the Coast Guard, men and women of the Navy, men and women of the Space Force. Well, we don't have any Space Force.
Do we have it?
We need some Space Force. That's the only we have their flag, but we don't have a song yet.
They haven't.
I've told the audience before.
Would be cool like this theme for Star Trek.
I just tell them to hum that Star Trek theme. Yeah. Exactly.
You know, you both of you brought up something really important, and this kind of threw me back to my father-in-law, who is Navy CB from CB6. You know, you brought up about the birthday card that you know your father-in-law saw, and you're talking about the pinning. You know, my father-in-law, what he'll do is he'll bring out old pictures of him in service, or old warbirds, or boats, or certain things. And as much as sometimes you like, again, because it means so much to them when you take an interest in stuff that they do. And that's what the Battling Betties do when they go to the senior living houses and they go to these the veteran affairs. They sit and they chat with the veterans because they're proud of what they've done.
We want to hear about it.
Right. And we could take 15, 20 minutes, a half hour, and listen to their story, because it may not resonate a lot, but you are making that person so much happier that he's able to share that experience. Because when they came back from war back then, they may not have been able to share their experience. Maybe they didn't want to share their experience because of shell shock, what that we know is post-traumatic stress now. They didn't have all that stuff back then. They came back with those traumatic injuries, and now as they grow older, they're able to share those. So you are being part of their healing process.
So when they do want to share, you better listen.
And I think that's some of the problem with some of our service members, especially from these more recent wars that come back and they have some depression issues, because, you know, at one point in their life, they were in the thick of the fight with their best friends at the time and their buddies that they slept in the same tent, they slept out in the woods or up in the mountains or wherever and fought together. And then all of a sudden, that veteran's at home mowing his lawn out in the middle of nowhere, Nebraska, and he's not in that same situation that he was, say, in Iraq or Afghanistan. And all of his buddies, he's probably wondering, where are all my buddies at? I was a part of history, and now here I am mowing the lawn. And I think that might be there might be some depression involved in that.
Without a doubt.
And you really want to talk about what you did, but you just can't go up to somebody and say, hey, do you know what I did?
Do you remember this? Yeah.
The conversation's got to start somehow, and civilians really
How
don't
do
know
you
much about
ignite
that.
Yeah. How do you start that conversation?
It's the men and the women, or the men that wear those ball caps with the big yellow letters that you can identify. That's why we wear them, so that we can identify each other, kind of like the way dogs identify each other.
Well, that's why
we do it with a hat.
That's why it's fun listening to Mary and Rick on Hometown Heroes. You know, you have those vets that Mary and Rick bring on to Hometown Heroes, and I'll bring him up again. I forgot his last name, but his name is Bill, and he tells these amazing. Maybe you know him. Bill Parr. I don't. Maybe Mary's on.
I can't think.
But,
Mary's the president.
Yeah, but she'll.
That is correct.
I listened to Hometown Heroes, and this guy told such amazing stories of back in Vietnam, and he can detail walking down the trails, and he can detail, you know, that they made jokes that they were peeing in their pants because they couldn't move for hours and hours and hours. And you think about the brothers that he lost, the guys who fought beside him, or that when they came home, now they live in California. He lives in New York or like Nebraska. They don't have the skills, or maybe they don't have the technology. P-U-G-H, Poe?
Oh yeah, Pew. I think it's pronounced Pew. I believe
Bill
so.
Pew.
But I know who that
Mary
is.
is
Thank you,
on
man.
it.
Mary's on it. So
she's making sure I cover everything.
Yeah.
She's correcting us.
But they lose connection. They lose connection with the people that they fought alongside, and that's got to be heartbreaking.
Yeah,
that's got to be heartbreaking.
And another thing we do for these guys is I set up a lot of museum type because I collect militaria, and then we've had things that have been donated to Roll Call. But I've got a pretty large collection of militaria that I started some years back, and then finally figured out a way to be able to display it. And these guys like to see that. It may bring back a lot of good memories. It may bring back some bad memories, but those kind of go hand in hand. You kind of get a Roll Call is kind of therapy for these guys.
Yes.
And they're going to be sitting with people that have experienced some of the same things that they experience. And then I've got some militaria to bring back some memories of things that they haven't seen in years. And I think they really enjoy that.
That's what I'm noticing with, I call him Senior, who lives with me. He's a Vietnam vet. What I found, he was in a home. We decided that wasn't good for him, so we brought him into the house. So I've been like watching different movies with him and things, old war movies. And the more I put stuff on, the more chatty he gets, and the more I'm like, well, do you want that 1 Miller Lite right now or later? Like he'll have a beer with him. He gets one.
That's a good thing.
Yeah,
you only give him one.
I don't know how the meds are going to interact. I don't know. I got to talk to his doctor.
Give him 2 or 3. Let him have as many as he wants.
Well, I do, but his son is watching. Oh. Just kidding. But yes, I follow the rules. But yes, I can see the difference. Like when he gets comfortable and he gets like, even if it's a serious movie, he gets more like, oh, you remember this? And now I was there. And the interaction and
It makes him stand up straight.
Yeah, a little bit like,
He's got a little
it's
bit
not
more pep in
actually
his step.
depressing. I'm sure there's a lot of things that probably hit too that might be emotional for him. But in that moment with me, who's just, the daughter-in-law that's here, hey, I'm hanging out with you. He wants to talk. He wants to show it, like share it with me. And I think just a movie does that. Imagine being in Roll Call at the meeting. So I'm excited to bring him to the meeting or the luncheon and seeing him see other, like I'm going to bring him to Al Chatwin's birthday on Sunday because I can't go to Houston because I am his caregiver. So the birthday party's it's close by. It's his 99th birthday. He's in, so I'm going to bring him to that. It's those little things,
Well, that's part of these guys opening up is what you're talking about. And some of these guys from back as far as World War II, and we got a lot of Korean, we got a lot of Vietnam veterans right now.
Yeah.
They just don't. It bothers them. They, I hear all the time. Well, they don't want to talk about it. Well, they haven't found the right people to talk about it with. That's
right there.
That's the big thing. And sometimes, a lot of times, I'm sure, coming to Roll Call and sitting with 8 or 7 other people.
Get a little intimidating.
That you may have a couple of Vietnam veterans, more recent wars. Could be a peacetime guy like myself. I'm not a combat veteran. But I still know the language, and I still know the lingo, and I can talk to these gentlemen, and we can understand each other.
That's
It's
what I was
hard
going
to
to
do
ask.
that out.
That's what I was going to ask you, because the roll call atmosphere, when you have those World War II and Vietnam vets sitting around the table, right? It must be amazing just to walk by and listen to some of those conversations.
There's a lot,
you know,
a lot of history.
Yes.
Something that the books don't always, you know, the
Oh.
history books tell you.
Well, you want- yeah.
Well, they tell you I don't want to say the basic. Well, okay, so Vietnam War and the dates and
They tell
and
you the
where,
cliff notes.
but
They don't tell you the true story.
The guys that were in the foxhole, you know, they talk about
From the
maybe the
words.
generals and the
Yeah.
and the big guys and the admirals, but the privates,
Mhm.
and that's what we got a lot sitting in the room. Is a lot of the privates, the E1s and the E2s and the E3s and the E4s that really were kind of
The
backbone.
grunts.
Yeah,
The grunts, man.
Yeah.
You know,
absolutely.
I'll forever remember talking to Don Graves when he told me about the beaches of Iwo Jima when he came off and he was a flamethrower and he was on the beach and right next to him was a buddy of his.
Yes.
And he was talking to him 1 minute, turned his head, the next minute he was gone.
Yeah.
You know,
I can't imagine.
you think about
You
the
can
hand-
only you only can think it from the movie
Well,
Private Ryan. I
yeah,
mean, like you
well,
have
you
no
think-
idea.
You think
It's
about
like
the hand.
that.
You think about the hand of God right there. Like, why him and not me? We were that close, you know. And you're like, you know, survivor's guilt. You have all that. Why didn't that hit me? And it's just, if you look at some of those old movies where the I forgot the name of those the float boats that with the rear decks coming down.
Oh yeah.
You know, you look at some of the movies when those decks came down, those young boys, 17, 18 years old, knew as soon as those deck
Game
went
on.
down, they knew that they were going to die.
Yeah, those landing craft, boy, and you see that in some of the movies like Private Ryan and the guys were actually getting
Band of
seasick
Brothers.
on those, and then
Yeah.
they knew they were going to be
And then
landing.
they
I
opened
mean,
that up, yeah.
it's like wow.
We just watched that the other day,
The
not
guy
gonna
with
lie.
the necklace and Private Ryan that's got the cross around his neck, and he kisses it before they land, and man, as soon as they open the door, boom.
Yeah.
And that's the ultimate sacrifice.
Unbelievable.
These men.
And it's not even like extra dramatized.
I can't
like, that
imagine-
was what it was.
Even a
Right.
military
It wasn't
man,
Hollywood.
I can't imagine that. I just
Yeah.
have no idea what that would have been like.
At 17 and 18 years
Yeah.
old, these were the
And
these
some
were
that
the-
lied about their age.
and some
were
of
there
them,
15 and
like
16.
like Don Graves signed up at 16, I think. They did lie about their age, but you know, think about this. Back then, our 17 and 18-year-olds were fighting for our country, fighting for our freedom. What are our 17 and 18-year-olds doing today? What are our 19-year-olds doing today?
Well, sadly, there's a statistic out there that says most the men and women, or well, I think they said men, but men and women most likely between the ages of 17 and 34, 75% of them were not qualified or could not qualify to be in the military. Either one because of
mental-
drugs or mental issues, or they were in jail.
I was gonna ask, like,
or-
what
or-
is the recruitment
or they were way too
rate?
overweight and
That too.
and they weren't physically fit. So
Because I'm curious, yeah, what would that? Because I remember, like, I graduated in 2000. A lot of people were going into the army,
Yeah.
you know, right out of high school. I wonder what the recruitment rate is right now because I don't see the same
something I'll have to-
mentality as the high school kids when I went and graduated because they were gung ho. Now
Yeah.
it's like,
I need to look that up tonight. I'll probably I'm up late, so I'll probably check that
yeah,
out.
you'll Google.
But,
I'll
yeah.
text you later.
But you know, again, roll. I can't say enough about roll call. And here's one quick point I'd like to make. There's a lot. Well, not really a point, but there's a lot of smaller groups out around Fort Worth and these and Bedford and North Richland Hills and all that meet on any day of the week. A lot of these groups meet like on Saturdays.
You
We
meet
have
on
two now. We have a Black Rifle
So I
down in
was gonna say
Benbrook.
Black Rifle.
They meet every
Mhm.
Saturday, 11 to 12:30, and we got one up my end of the woods
Alliance.
at Alliance.
Yeah.
We meet and we have 15 or 20 veterans, and that's a good thing to have because in between the roll call, you got these other small groups that you can hang out with that are a little bit more personal.
Yep.
Absolutely.
And so that's another thing out there. And you'll see these guys at McDonald's, and you'll see them at Burger King, and you'll see them at
And if you
Whataburger.
and if
Yeah.
you see a veteran at McDonald's or Whataburger or eating breakfast,
Pay for their food.
pay for their food, man. You go there and
Sure. There you
pick
go.
up that tab, you know. Our VFWs, our American Legion halls.
Yep.
You know what? You do not have to be a veteran to go in there and purchase a drink and chat with somebody. That's how they keep their doors open. They need to be funded as well. So they invite you people to come in to what? I'm sorry. Well,
I silenced mine while I was over there.
He's a host.
Spam.
But that's okay.
Yeah, that's all right. But visit them, keep them in business because this is the home for them. The VFWs, American Legions, they do so much, and it's go in there, share a story, say I'm here to support you. What could I do? Give them the helping hand that they need.
But read the room. They don't seem like they want people. I mean,
That-
read
that-
the
that-
room.
That's the thing, and here real quick on this too. I like to have a certain amount of people that have never been in the military at roll call.
Mhm.
And I've always said this and to my friends and my family, if you've got board members on stage and they're all in the military, well, you're military guys honoring military guys and serving military. But if you got some civilians sitting around, spread out in the audience that really want to know, those people really appreciate military more than one military man to another military. Of course, I appreciate everybody that's ever been in the service, but a civilian that's never been in, they appreciate you even more because they know that the reason why they're free in this country and this great nation that we live in is because of these guys.
And you're sharing
they
the education
and they
factor.
would like to hear the story.
Yeah.
And you can hint around, but you got to read them. Like you said, you got to
You
kind
gotta read the
of
room.
and figure out, well, is this guy going to talk? Or
Yeah.
if I ask him a question,
Don't
will
push
he
it.
answer it?
Yeah, don't
Read
push it.
And you can figure it out with maybe
Yeah.
one or two questions. If they don't want to talk,
You're
you'll know.
socially aware.
But
You'll
a lot
be
of them
able
do
to
want to.
pick
A
it
lot
up.
of them do want to talk.
Usually the best thing to do is go, hey, can I buy you a beer? Boom, you're in.
There you go.
That's it. You're
Sold.
done. Once you can buy a
And
beer.
after a couple of those, they're going to talk.
Yeah, they're going to talk. Roy, I want to thank you so much. You're more than welcome to stay here because we're going to bring on another military veteran. Is he up? Is he on there? All right. I'm going to bring up another military veteran. He was a United States Marine Corps veteran, served in the police department, and now is our political analyst. It's on his perspective only. Let me just bring in, and we'll recap with you before we leave. Bring in Mongo with the famous Mongo log.
Mongo! Santa Maria! Never mind that shit. Here comes Mongo!
What's up, everybody? And yes, it certainly is just my perspective. It's as close to the truth as I can get it. A lot of it may be editorialized, but that's because I write this thing. So here we go. This week, we're going to talk about the Democrats' calamity. Democrats and the left-wing media, the left-wing mainstream media, have become unplugged recently. They lost 2 U.S. Senate seats in Ohio and Montana after our last national election. Although disappointing, this could be interpreted as just normal operation of the pendulum swing in electoral politics. Trump's massive win for the presidency, however, could not. Donald Trump's sweeping victory across all of the so-called swing states and in the national popular vote wasn't just a defeat for Kamala Harris and the Democrats. It was a signal for all that moving forward, it's not going to be politics as usual. What had befallen the Democratic Party in 2024 was a catastrophe, and it must be understood in those terms. What the party and its larger constituency of supporters fail to understand is that this was a moment of reckoning, one that demands a fundamental reconsideration of what the Democratic Party stands for and whom they represent. The catastrophe could be fatal. This electoral calamity seriously undermines the Democratic Party's already tenuous claim to represent the American majority and virtually completes its estrangement from most American workers. According to exit polls, the only economic group that Harris clearly won was persons with household incomes above $100,000. And yet, the only consistent battle cry from the left is that Donald Trump is cutting government programs so that he can give the money to his rich friends. For their part, the mainstream media continues to push the same repetitive and false theory. If one were to actually watch some of the roundtable discussions with Democratic talking heads broadcasted on various mainstream media networks, you would think that President Trump literally sits in an exclusive lounge with other rich white guys, lighting their Cuban cigars with flaming $100 bills while laughing at the wasteful money that they have found and now get to keep for themselves. As much as the Democrats and the mainstream media love pushing the idea that Elon Musk and the Russians are to blame for their electoral failures, that appears to be only a weak hook upon which to hang their hats. For their parts, the Democrats felt confident going into this election, probably much like Napoleon felt good about going into the Battle of Waterloo. They have, however, failed, finally and completely. Kamala Harris, and that's probably the only time that I've actually used her actual name and not the nicknames that I have always referred to her by, after her sugar high of late August and early September, proved to be the wrong person in the wrong place at the wrong time. She ran a game but incoherent campaign and could not escape from both her unpopular boss, who is nothing more than an incoherent and bubbling puppet, or from her personal and political limitations. After the dust settled and no more surprise bags of uncounted votes were discovered, Harris said that when she conceded defeat to Trump, she did not, however, concede the fight that fueled her campaign, the fight for freedom, for opportunity, for fairness, dignity for all people. I'm not sure exactly whose campaign she was talking about, but it certainly was not hers. What stands out, unfortunately, is the fatal vagueness of a list of overused buzzwords. But since she is actually incapable of spontaneous conscious thought, using typical buzzwords from the teleprompter suited her campaign. To truly understand what the Democrats believe in, you must know their core principles and their advocacy policies. These beliefs are reflected in their efforts to combat climate change, expand access to health care, protect civil liberties, and reduce economic inequality. Their platform is rooted in progressive values centered on mastering equality, promoting justice, and ensuring opportunity for all Americans. Whether it's through healthcare reform, environmental advocacy, or addressing systematic injustices, the Democrats have consistently pursued a vision of inclusivity and fairness. Now, if you actually believe any of the typical catchphrases used to garner support, and you believe that the next the right thing, you are a special kind of person. Unfortunately for the Democrats, as much as they would like to believe that there are multiple genders, that a human being can actually be a cat, or that a man dressing in women's clothes with purple hair and nose rings represents a large voting bloc in this country, they are wrong. Currently, they are more concerned with addressing climate change, promoting racial and social justice, and reducing economic disparities. Unfortunately for the Democrats, China and India are not concerned with perceived climate change and its possible causes. Those countries are forging ahead while dealing with overpopulation, urban expansion, and extreme population. As for us, the United States could not, even if it wanted to, save the planet alone. Even if it were done through a magical conversion and we were all able to somehow switch from fossil fuel propulsion systems to every vehicle in this country becoming an EV, there just isn't the current infrastructure in place to support such a change. Not to mention the damage that it would cause to the environment through mining rare earth minerals. Although from listening to the politicians, that's exactly what they want us to do. They don't care if we can get around or not, as long as we're driving EVs. The infrastructure to support this is just not there. Purchasing and driving any EV is not the most pressing issue for the American population. The Democrats firmly believe that healthcare is a fundamental human right. Their efforts to expand coverage, lower costs, and improve access are rooted in the conviction that no one should have to choose between financial stability and medical care. That's great. What a noble cause. But what they have actually done to this country in the past 4 years is to allow untold number of millions of undocumented illegal aliens to burden our government with unnecessary expenses. This access has placed an unintended, at least I would hope it's unintended, burden on our healthcare system and our education system. Our veterans and countless Americans who were born and raised in the United States as United States citizens are currently homeless while these human ticks receive benefits, assistance, and unearned services. The Democrats seem to think that money is no object. Our current national debt is approaching $37 trillion and climbing every day. Yeah, they have had absolutely no issue increasing the budget while raising the debt ceiling in the past. But now that President Trump is in the White House and the Republicans control both houses of Congress by very narrow margins, all of a sudden every Democrat has become fiscally responsible and almost insulted that the Republicans will not immediately stop spending and balance the budget. Now, although the Republicans are doing the same thing that the Democrats have been doing for a long time, the Republicans accused of being out of control and in the mainstream media can't seem to stop talking about it. You would think that the current proposals by the Republicans include legalizing marriages between brothers and sisters in every state and not just in West Virginia and Alabama. Andrew Jackson was the last president to balance and eliminate the national debt. A lot of presidents have presided over balanced budgets, which is when the government takes in more revenue than it spends, leading to no net borrowing that year. However, a balanced budget doesn't necessarily mean no debt, because all debt can carry over from the previous years. Jackson was, in fact, the only president to preside over total elimination of all remaining debt while having a balanced budget. Now, not that I ever get any fan mail, but don't send me any messages telling me that Jackson was an asshole. I know Jackson was an asshole. All I'm saying is he's the only one to do it, ever. Maybe it takes an asshole to run this country the right way. President Trump is currently trying to locate and eliminate waste from the government spending. Unfortunately, there is so much waste, plunder, and fraud and kickbacks that he's being hobbled and interfered with around every corner by whining Democrats and activist judges, that's a new word, activist judges in long flowing robes. And that, my friends, is that. Whiskey improves with age, and I improve with whiskey. My name goes in, wisdom comes out. I smoke cigars and I know things. Mongo is out. And now back to you in the
Mongo, that was one hell of a Mongo log. You know, you hit perfectly. And I know Roy, who's sitting next to me, you want to chime in on anything?
I agree with everything you said.
I concur.
You know, I just don't see where us eliminating all the debt, why everybody's so mad that we are saving money or we are cutting waste or we are cutting fraud. You know, and they're so pissed off about it. And it doesn't make sense to me that if we find $17 million in fraudulent funds, what?
It's like you have a store and your store got robbed. So I'm going to hire this guy to find out where the money went. But we're going to get mad at that guy for finding out where the fucking money went.
Right.
What?
Right. That doesn't make sense. And, you know, we sent all these billions and billions of dollars overseas when we still have a homeless veteran problem here in America. We have veterans who fought for our country living on the streets. And why haven't we taken care of that problem? We still have a problem with our VA system. Why haven't we taken care of that correctly? Before we start taking care of other countries, let's take care of what we have here at home.
I mean, getting mad at, like, I get, like, we'd love to help the people we can, but like a small clinic and a small somewhere in a third world that we have no control over and we're going to send a lot of money there, like,
it doesn't make sense.
It doesn't make sense.
And they're not trying to dismantle Medicare, Medicaid,
No.
and Social Security. And you keep hearing that from the other side.
other side.
And that's not what's happening. And that's not
your
what's
facts
going to
right.
happen. They're just going to take away those checks for people that are like 150 years old that don't need them anymore.
You mean if I'm 200, I can't vote?
You can't have a check. But Mongo, once again, man, are you still there?
Yes, I am.
Yeah. Mongo, once again, you bring a great perspective of your part. I will say that. Your perspective on this. Mongo gets all his information from multiple sources.
And he lives in California.
Yes.
So there's that.
You know.
Okay, rub it in.
So
Yeah,
he
you
has
know,
that opinion
and
in California.
The problem, and I don't know why they do it, but almost every media outlet that you watch or see on the news, they make it seem like we're doing a bad thing or that Elon Musk and Doge is doing a bad thing. They're not doing a bad thing, and they're not keeping the money. They don't get anything out of this. They're saving us money from stupid programs. And you're absolutely right. we shouldn't be sending money for stupid programs overseas when we've got stuff going on here. I mean, President Monroe may have been an asshole also with the Monroe Doctrine, but we need to close. And I know we have commitments overseas that we really do need to take care of. And we do a lot overseas, but there's too much that we're doing overseas. We don't need to do all the stuff that we're doing because nobody else is. We need to take care of our own. And our veterans need to come before all these millions that have come across the border illegally.
I agree. I agree 100%. I'm sure most of America agrees, but you know what? We've been brainwashed throughout the years on, you know, how these politicians are just using like, you know, our money, our taxpayer money to line their own pockets, you know, and I'm glad they're going after people like Maxine Waters and Pelosi, finding out how $174,000 a year salary makes you $127 million. I don't care how. I'm glad they're going after him. And they're going to find there was fraud and criminality right there.
You know, they're going to. And sadly, you know that nothing's going to ever be done about it. They may discover it and they may actually talk about it, but nothing will ever be done. They'll continue to be elected by their local constituents, and it's just a continuous cycle that sucks. It just makes people angry. It really does.
Yeah, well, people have been feeding off the government for a long time. It gets generational, and it becomes second nature, and that's why, you know, we have these issues in certain neighborhoods. You know, just like welfare and food stamps. You know, when Kennedy started all that stuff, it was for a 2-year program to get people back on their feet, and you know, those who were down and out, to get them back up and start working again. And what happened was it just turns generational, and boom. Now we have thousands, millions of families living off the government dime that are more than capable of working. They can get out there and have a job. They just don't want to because they're getting the free money from the government. And now they're all pissed off because guess what? They're going to stop that.
Thankfully, hopefully.
You know, if you're actually disabled, or if you have a real issue, I'm more than willing to say the government should help you out.
And those people aren't being
cut
off.
18 years old. If you're an 18-year-old man that, you know, drives an Escalade, but you can't work, there's a problem right there.
Oh yeah. Yeah. And you know, and even and I'm not a big Oliver Stone fan, but he's calling for Congress to reopen the Kennedy investigation. Not that I'm saying that Oswald didn't do it, which I don't think he did, but your
dogs are great. Your dogs are great.
The CIA and all the work that they were doing behind the scenes has a lot to do with it, because Kennedy was going to actually do the right thing, but they cut him off, and Johnson reinstituted those programs.
Yep. Well, I heard just like I said, don't know fact or fiction, but it did come out in some of those things that Johnson may have been involved in this. He knew about it.
Oh, absolutely.
And because he disagreed with Kennedy and the whole bit, you know, we've been lied to so much. We don't know what's fact or fiction sometimes. And
that's why I don't listen to any of them.
And that's why I'm glad, you know, hopefully we can restore this country and get transparency back and grow some, you know, get faith back into our government and into our, you know, FBI and ATF and all these organizations that have been weaponized. And hopefully we can get justice for all the American people that are out there.
Amen to that.
All right, brother. Well, you stay safe in your nice California home.
All right. I will see y'all next week.
He's in Sonoma, California. Well, enjoy, brothers, and we will talk to you next week. Thank you once again for an amazing monologue.
Dun, dun, dun,
all right, Roy. I mean, you know, the things that he brings up, you know, impact what we were talking about on this whole show. Our World War II veterans, our Vietnam veterans who fought for our country and are still not being taken care of either financially, medically, mentally, in every capability, every capacity. You know, when you have a war veteran who is 85 years old that needs to go to the VA, but they're going to schedule them 6 months out.
Mhm.
That is just unacceptable.
You know, there's
Living it.
I'm not much of a guy that's into the loud screaming metal music, but there's a band called Five Fingered Death Punch.
I love them.
Have you ever seen that
Yes.
video that they put out called Wrong Side of Heaven?
I think Pitbull loves that.
Have you seen that video, Wrong Side of Heaven? It's about homeless veterans.
Yes.
And I'll tell you what, I get tears in my eyes every time I hear the song.
I know what you're talking about. Yes.
You should play it on the show one time.
Should. We gotta get the rights.
Yeah, no, we'll
it
play
was
it.
done years ago, but
You know the song?
yes.
We'll load it up for next week.
Yeah,
We'll play
yeah,
it next
try it.
week.
I can tell you all the words, but I couldn't know the name of it.
And real quick before we close out, I just wanted to say a couple more things about
Sure.
roll call. I just want to thank all of our volunteers and our board members and everybody that makes this possible. There's just so many people to thank, but there are a lot of people out there that help make this possible every month. And we got our
Yes.
volunteer luncheon coming up. April, it's the
25th.
26th.
No. Yes, 25th.
It's on a
Day
Saturday,
before
and that's
House.
for our volunteers. But we really appreciate all. I wish I could
That's
name
right.
them all, but I can't. But I'm 65. I'm not that old, but I'm starting to lose my mind.
But go
But
make sure
thank
you
you
go.
to everybody.
Make sure you go visit roll-call.org.
There you go.
Roll-call.org. Donate, be a part of, volunteer your time. If you can't afford it, serve a meal. Go out there and serve
Get
a
on
meal.
their newsletter.
Yeah,
Even
do
just like they
something.
give a monthly of like birthdays of the veterans, and you can send birthday cards to veterans.
Yeah.
There you go.
Simple.
And if you have a veteran in the house that has not been exposed to roll
house.
call, bring them out there. Sign them up. Get him some lunch. Let him meet with some of his peers. It'd probably be the best thing for him.
Mhm.
Absolutely.
You know, I want to thank you, Roy. Appreciate everything
you
you
for
and
having
roll,
me on
roll
again.
call do. Yeah, anytime. Everything that you and roll call do. I want to thank all our listeners who have been so supportive to the 99, who've been chiming in, tuning in, giving their feedback on this, because that's what this is all about.
You
This,
do like us. You do. I appreciate you. I'm excited. You do like us.
yes, they do.
They do.
They do. They love
She's-
you. You crack me up.
Be serious. Be
go
serious.
to our webpage, 99percentradionetwork.com.
What's our email?
You can check out all our events online. Our email is live on the 99 radio TV at gmail.com.
And all
Was
our
it right?
all our veterans out there, we love you.
All right. I want to thank Ange, our board up over there, man, keeping us on time. I want to thank Flex and Cody and and Aurora,
That's me.
and that's me and Tigger. Aurora, who is in our studio. That's Flex's and Candy's daughter, and she made some great pictures for us as she sat there quietly and she just drew.
Looks just
she
like
was
me.
she was a wonderful little girl,
Looks
man.
just like you.
Huh?
Little head. And a big red shirt.
That's what I'm going to look like after the 6-week challenge. I'm going to have,
Yeah.
"Urgh." Yeah,
I'm gonna need to dye my hair pink.
All right. Until next week, man. Like us, follow us, share us, and don't forget Motorcycle Mayhem with Johnny Rizzo coming up at 7:00. You can follow him on motorcyclemayhem.com or on Facebook and YouTube. And until next week, if you can be anything in this world, be kind. Peace.